Okay, so your reading is starting with an oil. It's chamomile, German chamomile. And this is bringing in the energy of needing to release or to create a safe space to release. Your reading, yeah, it seems quite work related or yeah, professional related. Definitely feels that way. Couldn't be, but you just, you know, whatever resonates in your situation, then obviously go with that. So the top row is about where you're currently holding some stress. And then the second row is how to try and bring some of that into a clearer focus or a higher vibration. And you've got the hummingbird energy. As one of your guides today, or it's just this energy of, see, if it was in a higher vibe energy, like the hummingbird knows their shit. Like they just know where to get the nectar. They just know how to bring things into their realities. So they just know how to, yeah, work towards their goals. But when it's out of balance, it can bring in this energy of, I kind of need to do everything myself, and they can come off as being a little bit sharp or, yeah, not blunt, maybe blunt, but just, and so it seems to me that this reading is really about how you can feel safe to be in a space where you don't always have to have control of everything around you, and that, you know, you might need to be looking at where your support team is, and how you can start leaning into that. Because it's quite interesting, and I know as a control freak myself that you feel like you need to do everything so that it goes your way and you're in control of it. But where the blind side of that is, or the blind spot is, if you follow only your trajectory of things, then it doesn't allow a space of something new and or different to come into it. And that you'll find that there's people around you that do want to support you, you know. And maybe you've lost sight of that, you know, because the universe works in pretty special ways, and messages are coming in all shapes of and forms, styles. So you might read something on the internet that just like gives you some sort of spark, or it might be something that one of your team members said, or your colleagues, or your boss even, or if you are the boss, then maybe one of your employees. So it's not about ruling out what people are saying, because sometimes those messages are almost being guided from a higher source. So it's not wise to kind of discount that. And so, as driven as you are, driven is brilliant. Like, driven energy is great when it's balanced, right? So, but it's coming up here as a stress state of flight. So it's almost like it seems burdened. This driven energy seems burdened by some underlying stress that you might be running away from. So the stress responses usually are fight, flight, freeze, and it's showing up as flight. So you might be a little bit, yeah, you're definitely in a stressful position right now, especially with this hummingbird. If you're busy flying away doing everything yourself, like what is it that you're missing or avoiding, or what is it that you could be overlooking? Comes to this card here, One Ring Circus. And just the image of this card, like, wow. It's like, where is her support? Like, she or he, they've built a magnificent vision for themselves, even a great view in the middle of the ocean on a rock balancing an elephant. It's quite a unique, exotic ambition there. And that's wonderful that you have that, you know, unique path and drive, and you've managed to do this on a physical level. But the energy here is looking at who's around you to support that, or who's around you to celebrate that, or who's around you. We're tribal people, you know, we're not necessarily solo pioneers, although we are of our own mission, but and our sole purpose. But we're tribal people, and we need, it's not like we need an audience, but we definitely need a way of sharing it, because it's all about giving and taking, right? So there's something out of balance here, even if it's precariously balanced right now, but you haven't allowed a support team around you for if something else comes into play here, you know, like the season could change, the structure could change. Have you put all of your eggs in one basket? If you go down with the ship for whatever reason in your project or your situation, or whatever this is playing out for you, who's going to be able to take the reins? Who's going to know how to do all of this juggling and balancing and implementing and, you know, like, who's going to drive it for you? Like, you've been driven to this point, but who have you entrusted to help or learn drive alongside you, or instead of you if the need arises? So, food for thought, you know. I understand that sometimes, like I said, it's easy to do things yourself sometimes, but it's about looking at the long game here. So let's move into more of the positive messages that are trying to shine some light on the story for you. So you have the Queen of Pentacles. So she is like completely understanding of her own material power. She has gone through the slog of getting it. She understands the importance of her material world, but she also understands that it's no fun sitting there alone either, and not having had shared any experiences or no, you know, had any nourishment from the journey itself. It's a more connected way of being. So it's coming up with a mental goal. So I feel like it's trying to say to you, how can you get out of your head? You might have got your material stuff going. You've relied on your mental abilities up until now. You've known how to drive this elephant onto a cliff or whatever it is. But how do you balance those two, stability and fragility? So you need to give something, not something has to give, and you need to feel safe to do that. Because I doubt you're feeling safe here, but I bet you have an understanding that you do have the foundations that you need. Because even if this goes, you know, arse over tit, as we would say in Australia, I bet you know that you have the foundations, right? You know how, you would know how to rebuild this. You're driven enough. Like, those are all those skills that have helped you get to this point. You know how to go and search for the nectar. You know how to be busy. You know how to be productive. But there's almost like a lesson here to say, almost trust that everything in your life is working out now and forevermore. So how can you do that? How can you trust when you're in this game? How can you trust that the universe has your back? How can you trust that your family are supportive? How can you trust that the relationships or employees or your colleagues or acquaintances or network is there to support you, and that you understand that it's going to work out now and forevermore? Because you trust yourself, so can you extend that trust outwards? Technical issues, sorry. Yeah, so how can you trust that that things will work out for you? Because you know you have the skill set, so it's about honing into something else. Be a kind human. This isn't to suggest you're not being a kind human, but it more suggests that I guess you get more honey than vinegar, right? So people just have an innate instinct to want to help people. What blocks that is how people make other people feel. So yeah, it's all about attitude, right? So if you have a shitty boss, like, you might find that your productivity is a little bit shittier. Even if you are inherently a very good employee, you probably don't put the same effort in as you would if you really loved your boss. And then when you really love your boss, you can go over and above and beyond the paycheck, right? So that's just food for thought if you are a business owner or people that are managing staff. But again, it's the same advice across the board. It is much nicer to get things or to have a synergy with people around you. And this brings me into this next advice is, you know, for success, attitude is as equal as important as ability. So yeah, you can build all of this, absolutely. But yeah, did you enjoy the journey getting there, and will you enjoy the journey once completion? So maybe just get a little unorganized from all of this, you know. Step a little bit outside of that framework of I have to do it all by myself for it to be successful. Because even if it's worked till now, I presume you're getting tired of this or resentful, or you're definitely acting on a response program here. So, you know, this is going to start to impact other areas of your life, health, etc. So, yeah, food for thought. How can you get a little friend up there with you? Be way more fun. Okay, guys, thank you.